Hi there, everyone. So we are week 3, part 6. In this part, we're talking about food preservation. We'll do a quick little fruit leather, and we're going to do a chicken pot pie for this class. The chicken pot pie recipe is it's the recipe that we have that we featured in from your materials this week. So with that being said, let's just go ahead and jump into this. And I'm also going to need to make sure that I am sharing sound and okay. And here we go. So again, we're talking about food preservation this week. What's great about food preservation is when we do food preservation, we can have stuff that we prepare and enjoy it later on. So we're going to be talking a little bit about drying and freezing for food preservation. We're going to see a quick little video. So this first little video is on making fruit leather, and this is a really simple one that we like to do that I've done several times with you 4-Hers, and if you've not done it with me before, but you take some applesauce, just a jar of applesauce, and you can add fruit to it. You grind it up and then you put it in your dehydrator. You need to process this for about 6 hours at 140 degrees. And so this is a fun something that you can do at home, a quick, easy snack that you can enjoy later on. So let's go ahead and watch how to make fruit leather. Okay, so in that video, you've seen that they did use raspberries, and it was just straight raspberries for that recipe. And that any berry is going to work really well. And again, I did say about applesauce. You can flavor applesauce using berries as well. And you can try different combinations with that. So a jar of applesauce is really good too using this as well. So there's many different forms of fruit leather that you can do, and use your imagination and see what flavors you can come up with. So that being said, the cultural lesson that we want to address today is that many Americans have tribes dried meat, berries, and corn for later use. Do you know why that practice was a useful practice for them? And when we think about it and how the Native Americans lived, it becomes apparent why they did it. So again, it was lighter in weight, less bulky, easier to carry. It stayed edible for longer periods of time. It could be kept in the winter months or during times of famine without rotting or spoiling. So, I mean, those were all ways that they had to do that. And of course, there was no refrigeration back then, and dehydrating or drying their foods was one way that they had to make their foods safe. And we still use some of those things today. But let's talk about how they did it. So, what they would do is that the drying practices have changed a lot in the past 100 years. Now we use electricity in our dehydrators, but some practices are better and some are worse for the environment and safety of food. So traditionally, with the Native Americans, large flat rocks and light cloth were used. The food was spread on rocks and dried in the sun for several days or weeks. And I think about that, and it's like, and that's what they did. But, you think about all the other elements that are out there. We have insects and et cetera. And that's really hard to, control that in that type of additives to your food. You don't necessarily want that. But currently, dehydrators and ovens are used, although sun drying still can be done in a safe way if conditions are hot and dry enough and you can keep any contaminants out of the food materials. So, this would be an example of an electric dehydrator that you would see. Usually they're countertop models. They come in many different forms. Sometimes they're square, sometimes they're circular. You can add the trays on. You can get additional trays for this, and it can be a safe way for you to dehydrate your garden produce. And we talked about raisin gardening or raisin gardens in our last section. So that's something that if you are doing produce and you want a way to do that, you can dehydrate onions and your herbs, and you can dehydrate vegetables. There are many different things and uses for dehydrators. So we're going to end with this. And before we go on to the chicken pot pie lesson, we're going to be talking in the video lesson that you'll see in a separate video, and you'll have to go find that on our channel. And of course, also there's a pie crust rolling recipe. So I'll teach you how to roll pie crust from scratch. But getting enough physical activity helps you feel and look good. So how much physical activity should kids try to get each day? And the answer is 60 minutes. About 60 minutes a day is what kids should be getting a day. Are you there yet? And if you aren't, maybe that can be a goal for you. How many of you watch TV or play video games? What is the most screen time? And screen time refers to TV, video games, computer, phones that kids should have each day according to doctors and medical professionals. Okay, take a guess. Do you exceed this? 2 hours? Do you exceed 2 hours? If you do exceed 2 hours, maybe that's something that you need to look at changing some of your habits and behaviors. We're going to be playing an activity charade today. So as we're doing this, and you can do this, we're in your spot from home, but we're going to have you try to guess fun ways to get physical activity. So physical activity charade. So run in place. Running is something that we can do to get physical activity. Go ahead and run for 5 seconds, 1001, 1002, 1003, 1004, 1005. But running is something that you can do. Basketball. Shooting hoops. We run a lot with basketball too, but shooting hoops and stretching and all that involves. So go ahead and shoot. Pretend you're shooting 3 baskets quickly in a row. Shoot 1, shoot 2, shoot 3. Rollerblading. Let's see if you can rollerblade. Rollerblading is something that you can do. So how do you pantomime rollerblading? Imagine how you do that. You skateboard? Well, skateboard also involves this sort of walking, running, and balancing, all which exercise us. How about dancing? What kind of silly dances can you do? And dancing certainly can give us a workout. You got a hula hoop. Can you swing your hips around and do a hula hoop? And of course, there's swimming. Thank goodness summer is almost here, and maybe we can get some swimming in. We think about golfing. Go ahead and do your best golf swing. Okay, so the recipe that we're going to be doing is the freezable chicken pot pie. Now, you can either do the chicken pot pie that is made with a Bisquick. We're not going to demonstrate that one, but you do know how to read a recipe and you can prepare that. But we are going to show you how to roll a homemade pie crust. We're going to show you how to mix it and roll it out. And we're going to show you how to make the chicken pot pie in a separate video with store-bought pie crusts, and we'll show you how to do the filling and then show you the final product. So don't forget to give your parents the newsletter and tell them about what you have learned in this session. We'd ask you to go ahead and go visit those other 2 videos that go accompany this lesson. Again, that's chicken pot pie lesson and the rolling a pie crust recipe. And yes, we are doing the rolling the pie crust for the chicken pot pie, but that can also be used for fruit pies. And the good news is that pie crust can be frozen in a freezer bag to be utilized at a later date, because the recipe that we've provided you rolls out 4 pie crusts. So if you were just doing the bottom, there would be 4 separate pies, or if you needed to do a top, it would do 2 pies. So we will see you for week 4, lesson 7, and week 4, lesson 8. Join us here. Thanks for viewing.